Hi, everybody. This is Robert Ginyard, and welcome to another episode of Intentionally Overheard, a podcast that features guests whose life journey has helped them answer three important questions about themselves. Who am I really? Why am I here? And what am I supposed to do with my life? Today, I'm going to have a conversation with Dontae Winslow, an incredibly gifted composer, arranger, trumpeter, and educator whose music has reached some of the biggest stages in the world, from performing with artists like Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, and Justin Timberlake, to contributing to the Super Bowl, the Grammys, and even the Academy Awards. Dontae's journey is nothing short of remarkable. Trained in music at the formidable Baltimore School for the Arts and at the prestigious Peabody Conservatory, he's built a career that blends excellence, creativity, and purpose. But beyond the accolades, what really stands out is his commitment to using music as a tool for healing, storytelling, and inspiring others. And now my conversation with Dontae Winslow. Dontae, how are you, sir? How's the world treating you?
How are you? I am amazing. The world is treating me like a king.
Oh.
And I am treating the world like a father who is nurturing and healing everyone.
Wow. Well, we're going to talk about so much of healing and how you have embraced this mindset of healing the world through music. And so I can't wait till we get started down that road. Okay. I also want to let our audience know that you and I had the opportunity to share the stage together at the ABC event, the Associated Black Charities event in November of last year.
That's right.
And that's where you and I met. And if you recall, I said, I've got to get you on the podcast because your story, I think that's the next Netflix story that's going to be out there because you have a powerful story. I mentioned in the bio of all of the people that you've performed with, you've collaborated with, you worked on the Super Bowl and Grammys and the Academy Awards. But Dontae, one of the things that stuck out with me and for many of us that were at that event sponsored by ABC was your background story. You talked about the neighborhood and the people who mentored you, and we're going to get into all of that. But beyond all of the awards and beyond the stages that you performed on, take us back a little bit to the neighborhood where you grew up because you really had honed in on that, and it is a story worth telling over and over again.
I agree. It was a very tough time growing up in Baltimore for me as a young kid with big dreams. One of my good friends, big brothers, Kia Johnson, used to say, "Man, you little boy with big dreams." He said, "You have God's resume." Meaning, if someone looks at everything you've done and the magnitude of the people you've affected and how your life has changed, how you have evolved as a man from a kid, they would say, "Okay, that's a straight miracle." And growing up in the inner city, I caught 3 buses to school. I went to Cross Country Elementary, and it was a dichotomy of living around a certain set of peace, a certain piece of hell, while also striving through tumultuous times. Those things were constantly evolving. So the heaven and the hell was surrounding me. And what I mean by that is like my grandparents, who were married for like 50 years, they were older people, and they were my sense of stability because often my mother would leave me with them. But under them, they had children who were like mentally challenged, and they called it retarded back then. They call it special needs now. But whatever the case, her sons, who were older men, they essayed me, and so that experience was probably the catalyst for my becoming. As a young person, 3 and 4 years old, after that hell, I realized, first of all, I was in the world by myself, that no one was going to protect me or save me from anything. And I had to sort of create a sense of self-awareness, a sense of completeness and wholeness without needing, at the time, religion, God, a mother, a father. I had to create an environment in my own imagination where I'm safe.
Yes.
And as a young child, that's pretty hard to do. I had to get rid of the shame and the guilt and the pain, the physical pain, the psychological pain, the embarrassment. It's embarrassment as a kid and go to school and be around others and feel like I'm normal. There's nothing wrong with me because of someone did to me. And so I bring that story up to encourage other people who have gone through it, but also to kind of open the veil of how I created the Dontae Winslow psyche, the strength and the fortitude and the sense of autonomy where I can walk anywhere, be anywhere, and find a sense of peace and joy. And I can stabilize myself to feel like, okay, I can get through this. Getting through that, growing up still in my grandparents, I had to deal with my mother, dating different men. And that was uneasy because you don't always like the guys that your mother deal with,
Right.
if we're going to be honest.
Yes.
And so when you're a single mom, yeah, we get it. We get it that you're trying to struggle, work, have relationships, and raise a kid. But when you're the kid,
Yes.
it's difficult to see the dynamics of bad men disrespect your mother or hit your mother or just, it feels ugly. And so it's hard to concentrate in school when you got to go home to, really fucked up things.
Yes.
And so for me, I've always been able to have a sense of discipline and balance that kind of kept me on track. I kept good grades in school. The trumpet fell in my lap around fifth grade. My great friend Richard White, who's from Baltimore, Dr. Richard White, he kind of introduced me to the trumpet, said, man, you might as well play that. It only has 3 valves. It's easy. And that wasn't true, but...
Wait a minute. I was going to say, Dante, wait a minute. Those 3 valves.
3 valves have nothing to do with it.
Right.
The complexity it takes to master the trumpet. But
Yes.
What was cool about it is that the smart kids and the pretty girls played in band, and I was attracted to that, the artsy kids. That
Yes.
started to give me a window and a vision to know that, there's a creative world out there, an imaginary world that you can join and be a part of. And no matter what you're going through in life, if you partake in this creativity, it can soothe the pain of everyday life.
At that stage, by participating, was that able to help you alleviate some of that pain you were still kind of carrying from that 3 and 4-year-old range? Was art that vehicle that began to let you release some of that?
Oh, for sure. If it wasn't for art, I just wouldn't be anywhere, And if you want to call art God, they're all the same thing. I mean, God is art, God is love. Like those forces of creativity, those feminine nurturing forces. If I wasn't a part of that, I just wouldn't know what to do. And so a lot of kids I feel today who deal with unaliving themselves, or they deal with pain from broken homes or parents on drugs or being touched at an early age. I think that those kids, if they're not exposed to some sort of creativity, they can wind up, hurting themselves or misunderstanding the complex feelings that go on when you're trying to manage what it's like to be a damaged human.
Yeah.
And so for me, I feel like growing up, catching buses, dealing with my mom eventually she got addicted to drugs. And when she got addicted to drugs, it was heroin. At that time, it was so hard to see her just start to dissolve as a person and still try to focus on school. But I did it. Our house became a crack house in the 90s. And as we know, you watched the show The Wire.
Yes.
My life was much like that show. And, police used to come in and raid the house. It was crack, cocaine on the table, guns. It was crazy. And I listened to music. I had mentors, people like Antonio Hart and Roy Hargrove, Gary Thomas, Mr. Witt, all these people, Billy Murphy, all these people poured into me, made sure I was on the right path, spoke into me. Yes. And my Aunt Brenda, I remember she spoke to me one time when I was about to go on the wrong track. Sometimes when a kid's growing up in the hood, catching 3 buses, going through neighborhoods, trying not to basically get killed. The goal, I always tell people, when you grow up on North Avenue, your number one goal is to stay alive. So for me, staying alive was just the goal. If I can make it through here and make it out of Baltimore, maybe to New York, to LA, wherever, I can then start to find a way to provide for myself instead of having to depend on my mother or the food stamp checks or the drug dealers that are selling drugs and using the money to pay our rent. If I could get out of this, I probably can make a better life for myself. So that was like the primary goal. And art helps sustain it.
Now, when you were able to make it through the Baltimore School for the Arts, you went on to Peabody. Were you still living in that environment while you were attending those schools?
Yes, definitely through School for the Arts. By Peabody, I had gotten my own apartment.
Okay.
Billy Murphy had helped me get an apartment, and I was driving for him, working for him. I had like 4 or 5 jobs. I had Brass Elephant Restaurant, Dimensions and
I
Music
remember.
Record Store, yeah, Dimensions and Music Record Store,
Right.
Mondawmin Mall Record
Yes.
Store, and then working as a teaching assistant at Peabody. Also driving for Billy Murphy. So I just kept a bunch of jobs going. And I played music around town. I played live gigs at different clubs and pubs around town. And so I was able to get my first apartment and maintain it. And so
Okay.
that's what got me kind of out of the hood. I moved downtown. But
Okay.
on North Avenue through high school, that was very tumultuous. In fact, Richard White stayed on my house one Christmas, man. Somebody got shot and killed right in front of our door. And he said, man, I don't think my parents gonna let me come stay down here no more. It was wintertime. And I was just thinking, like, man, like, why does this have to happen while I'm having company? I never had
Yes.
company anyway. My friends, I was too embarrassed of my living situation to have my friends come and stay the night. And then
Wow.
that happened.
You mentioned the situation, and we'll talk about this. Kind of gives a segue into mentors. But one of your mentors, I watched the video of you some time ago, and you were giving thanks to Whit Williams. He's a very great saxophonist, but just a good man. He was a
Yes,
good
he
man.
is.
And you were mentioning in your remarks that Mr. Witt said he would come down to your house, and you were saying, no, don't come down. It's
Yeah.
too dangerous.
Yes.
So-
Everybody knows if you knew young Dontae, I would tell everybody, like, don't come down here. This is too much. Like you risking your life to just come to this home. He's like, okay, but I've been to World War. I've been one of the wars. I should be good. Mr. Whip would say Gary Thomas used to come pick me up and take me and give me lessons and then feed me. Like people used to really pour into young me, like make sure I had food stamps, of course, government assistance during the day in school, but I still had to find a meal at night.
Yeah.
And so my mother, she would run the streets. She was doing a thing. There was no father in the home. My father was manic depressive schizophrenic. And so he wasn't around. And I'm still learning to build a relationship with him now. And so at this time, it was difficult being like the project of the hood. I was like the one that was looked to make it out, but still living in like kind of a hell.
Yes.
Kind of like that Good Will Hunting movie. It was like I was the one that like we're looking to him to do right and do good and be the success story, but we gotta at least let him make it off this street, off this block, out of this neighborhood. And I thank God for these mentors, because if it wasn't for them, I would have just been lost.
It's interesting you mentioned the making it through, the one who made it through the cracks. As we were getting some B-roll for this podcast, when I was there was this flower coming through the cracks.
There's
On the
always
cor-
there.
Oh,
There's
on
always
the-
there.
on the
If I go to
corner
North
of-
Avenue right
Yes.
now, you will see a crack in the ground and
That's
you'll see
it.
a flower coming up.
That's it. So I looked down and I saw that, and it just reminded me of your story, the way you talked about that neighborhood and how you grew up there, but you were that flower that made its way through the cracks. And it was just so timely for me to be down there getting the B-roll, and then to see that flower, it reminded me of your story.
Yes.
Now with that, Dante, was there a lot of pressure on you to, if people saw you and knew that you had a chance to get out, was that additional pressure on you to make it out?
Not more than the pressure I put on myself.
Okay.
I've always been able to self-assess where I am, be pretty realistic with myself, but I've always had an insatiable drive. My drive for success is just animalistic, like to just make it into, and I've since married to my queen Mashika, she's kind of coasted to be like, maybe if it's not so intense,
Yes.
and it's more well-rounded and balanced. Success will come to you easier, and it actually did. And so, but coming out of the hood, I was like, "Ugh, I gotta make it. I gotta, read 1,000 books, practice 1,000 hours, be at every event, give everybody my number." I was that guy because I'm fighting to just find a way.
Yeah.
But when you bring that energy to those who even maybe want to bless you, it could be too much.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And they may take it as thirsty, greedy. They may take it as parasitic, and they
Yes.
may not offer you an opportunity. So being married to a queen like Mashika has rounded me and dusted me off and kind of shined me, chiseled me like a diamond. She's allowed some of my dreams that I didn't even know I would attain, like film scoring and arranging for strings. And she's kind of said, "No, you can do this, you could do that. I can hear your gift." And partnership is good because some people can see you, be with you, and access and see your greatness, see sides you can't see.
Yes.
So that's also, without being with my queen, I wouldn't have saw the great amount of success that I was able to see as well, because there's just certain avenues I wouldn't be able to see around, and the refining wouldn't have been there.
It's so wonderful to hear you talking about your queen. I often say the same thing about my wife, Dontae. She has rounded the corners of my
Yeah.
life and just made me a better person, and see the potential and greatness I have within
Yes.
me. And so
Yes.
it's nothing like having that help
Yeah.
meet that gets you
Yes.
through. Now, it's interesting you bring that up because I understand that when you were younger, you were in the car with Mr. Witt, and you were talking about what you wanted a girlfriend,
Yeah, that's right.
and he said to you, "I think you already have her."
He really did say.
Yes.
I said, "Man, all
Talk
these
about
girls
that.
ain't nothing. Yeah, all these girls ain't nothing. All girls want is money." Because I'm dealing from the '90s hood Baltimore mentality.
Right.
That was my environment, and so I'm never gonna get with nobody. But when I do get my money and get successful, I'm gonna have all the girls in the world, and I ain't going this and I'm this, and I ain't never get married. I ain't never having kids. I actually said this. I'm 18, 19. This is how you know when you're 17, 18, 19. You don't know what you're talking about. You think you know, but you really don't know. Even when you're 25, you're still a child.
Yes, you
People
are.
think that you're an adult, but you still lack so much wisdom and experience that you would still need to have guidance and
Yes.
mentorship in your 20s. And so as an 18-year-old saying that to him, looking back now, I'm like, that was so foolish. And so, you know, it didn't have a lot of vision, and it wasn't well-rounded, wise. It wasn't poised. It wasn't balanced. He said to me, "Yeah, man, not only will you probably get married and have kids, I see you as a family man." He said, you probably already know her." And I was like, "Pfft, already know what? I know that don't make no sense."
Right.
But sure enough, I had already known her, and we were friends, best friends. In fact, Mashika sang in my band,
Yes.
and we just hit it off in such an electromagnetic way. We couldn't stop being around each other, calling each other every day. I would check on her, make sure she ate. She had a recital at Morgan. I would bring her Tiffany's bracelet or bring her roses. And that connection was just so strong
Yeah.
and so deep that even if I was dating women at the time, I couldn't stay away from talking to her. And I think that's what made our union just magical.
Because it's always that one. The one you keep going back to. It's like she's got something, and it is such a beautiful thing when you find that person. And what was interesting is when Whit said, "You probably already know her," and here it is. You've known her all of this time, and it
Yes.
just clicked.
And it just clicked. If I had known that, I would have just, not even struggled. You know how many times I've gone to nightclubs trying to meet girls, or buying clothes to meet girls, at borrowing my friends' slick cars to try to impress a girl with the wrong things.
Yeah.
All of it meaningless.
To follow up on the mentorship piece, what was it about, if you could tell me maybe two or three of your mentors that really said something that stuck with you, that gave you that push to take life and living to another level?
I got to first start with Mr. Witt. He said, just speak the word divine order every day. I have that tattoo on my arm, divine order. And I would just say it like 21 times every day, or 7 times, any number that I thought was a kind of, magical number.
Yes.
And saying that, repeating that word would remind my system, my nervous system, my spiritual third eye, remind my whole aura, everything in my morphic field, that there's a God, there's a force above us guiding us, and that it's okay to welcome in what is for you. Things that are not for you will be thrown to the side, and be one with this process. Know that everything is happening in divine order, in a perfect timeline as you try and make, you have free will, but as you try and make the right decisions each day, still,
Yeah.
all knowing God knows the finality of everything, and be good with that. So he just says, speak divine order, speak divine order. Good things are coming, good things are happening. And this is not like religion or Christianity or anything like that, but these affirmations he would give to me as a 15-year-old living in a hood. That's the only morsel of God that I had. I
Yeah.
had to hold on to this one thing. And it is and from that transition of living in what I call earthly hell to living in earthly heaven, like I exist now, as I witnessed the transition, those words, I believe words are very powerful. Words are vibrational. They are frequencies. They actually change the atmosphere, in my opinion. And I've seen words bring people down, crush their spirit, make them give up. And I've seen words build people up, create new energy and create life and give people confidence. I've seen words do that. So he was always big on, be careful about the words you say, and so that's what kind of got me into that realm of speaking. And then Gary Thomas was good at just like making sure I ate, making sure I practiced, making sure I had a sense of discipline and health. He got me into exercise and lifting weights. Even he was like, yeah, if you lift weights, get your shoulders a little bigger, you might find some girl, you might be able to date a woman. 'Cause I was like, man, girls don't like me. I'm on North Avenue. I'm broke. I'm poor. I'm little. I got a bumpy face. And he was like, man, and I started lifting weights. My face cleared up, and my muscle. Like he kind of gave me manhood.
Yes.
How to treat people, how to be on time, how to prepare for a gig, how to travel to London and make it to a gig on time without anybody helping you. All of those, how to get your passport. He kind of just, man, he refined the young Dontae
Yeah.
and made me recognize what greatness could look like, even in the package like myself.
It's wonderful that you had such great mentors. And even with that type of support, the journey isn't always smooth.
No.
So, was there ever any moments where you felt like giving up, where it just seemed like it was too much?
Oh my God. Yes. There's so many.
And what specifically, Dante, and you can give me a couple of examples, but what was so heavy about those moments?
We discussed the crack house on North Avenue. We discussed raids, police busting in and taking everybody to jail. My mother's gone to jail. I'm sitting there with a trumpet. The house is empty and quiet. And it's like, what do you do now? What should I do? Should I just, I don't know, go outside and go to jail like some of my cousins and my family or my friends? Should I take my own life? Like, why am I here? Everything seems to happen to me. Like that song, Everything Happens to Me. That melody is so haunting to me because at that time in my life, I'm like, everything seems to happen to me that's bad. And I couldn't get around it. It's almost like Satan had put a hex on me and my mother, and they want us to die. I couldn't help but think that at that age. And so that's enough to want to give up. Even I'm striving for excellence. Some brick comes down the road. My mother gets me in the room. She says, you know what, Dante, I come home my first day of college, my first month of college to visit. I come from New York. It's still a crack house, but I'm in the dorms in NYU at the new school. And she's like, I got AIDS. I'm like, what? No, she sit down. I got something to tell you. Whenever my mother says, I got something to tell you, it's always going to be the worst news ever.
Wow.
Got something to tell you. I got AIDS. I don't know how long I'm going to live. So now I got to carry this burden of her passing just for years. And every day I'm thinking about, is she going to pass? Is she going to die? When is she going to die? While I'm studying in school, while I'm practicing music, all of those thoughts are just, it keeps coming. And so that's enough to want to give up. When I moved to New York and I'm playing, but I'm not playing good enough to get gigs. I'm following around Roy Hargrove, trying to make it. Um, Tupac went to my high school. He was a mentor as well, and he used to call me every month or every 2 weeks and check on me to make sure I was. His mother was on drugs, and my mother was on drugs. We had that in common, and he used to just pour into me and say, "You gonna make it. One day you're gonna be kicking it with the best of them." Is a phrase he said. He used to say, "Keep struggling and striving. Don't give up. Keep sticking with your trumpet. Keep playing music. Keep being great." Like I'm about to do Saturday Night Live now. Like he would tell me what he's working on. I'm working on a movie with Janet Jackson, Poetic Justice. I'm doing this. I'm doing, you know, but I'm still out here grinding and getting mine. And so I had this Roy, I think at the age of 18, 19, I had like Roy and Tupac as the first people almost my age, but just old enough that they were super successful, but they were almost young enough to be like a peer.
Yes.
And so they encouraged me to like stay on the path, but I wasn't good. I wasn't in their position. I wasn't signed to a record label. I didn't have songs and the gift good enough to even display that gift, but I'm walking around New York City with like nothing to do. So that was enough to want to give up. When you're close to people that are hugely successful, but you're not, and you're not ready, but you're dealing with your mom's issues and you're dealing with becoming a man. You're lonely. You're lonely. Let's start with loneliness.
Yes.
People don't want to give credit to the fact that humans just get lonely. I don't have anyone. I don't have a support system. There's no one checking on me outside of, the mentors that contact me. And that was nearly debilitating. So that was a time to want to give up. Moving to LA. After I had come back to Baltimore, went back to Hopkins, started playing the trumpet even better, getting good, got principal of the symphony. Me and Mashika best friends. We performing, doing shows. I started teaching at Gilmore Elementary in the city, teaching in the hood, teaching and giving back, and thinking like, am I just going to retire as a school teacher? I think I have more gifts to give to the world than that.
Yes.
But at that time, I moved to LA, did the Monk Institute. I got a little shaky, scared. My wife encouraged me, no, we're going to LA. This is your big dream. You wanted to do this. So at the time, I'm still dealing with all of this loneliness. I'm dealing with depression. I'm dealing with the fact that in the time I'm carrying, making sure I'm protected. I have guns. I'm carrying guns. I'm trying to juggle all of these things of what kind of man I'm going to be and how am I going to survive life and how am I going to find a sense of holistic sanity. I'm trying to maintain my sanity. Mashika encouraged me to go to LA and pursue this Monk Institute that I had already auditioned for. I was selected by Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Terrence Blanchard, and Wayne Shorter. Like they were the people who auditioned you, jazz legends, of course. And so that alone got me there. But once they sent me the letter saying, "Hey, you're selected," I thought like, oh my goodness. Now, but I'm teaching school, I'm about to buy a house. Now I'm having second thoughts. She was like, no, you going. Yeah. So I needed her to say, no, we getting out of here. Right. So moving there and doing 2 years in a wonderful program, learning from the masters. After I graduated, I was pregnant with Jedi, my son, who's amazing now. But at the time he's in the womb, I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do? I'm graduating school in LA, USC. I'm at the top of my game in terms of my skill set, but I don't have any gigs, any jobs. I have, again, nothing to show for it. It reminded me of New York. And so it's like, do I move back home? I was so terrified because when I moved back home from New York in 92, it felt like I gave up. And it felt like everybody's going to laugh at you. Oh, you coming back home with your tail between your legs, huh? Try the big city. Country boy, stay in your place. It was that energy.
Yeah.
LA gave me the same thing 10 years later. But I said, this time I'm going to stay. I stayed in LA. I had to use faith. So that part right there, having a pregnant wife and no job and sleeping on couches after graduating school was, that's a bar. And if any men out there, know what it's like to want to provide when you have kids, that's enough to make you want to give up. But I just tried to maintain stability, strength, and my personal constitution, the same as the 3-year-old and the 4-year-old. And I prayed and fasted, and Queen Latifah called, got a gig touring with her. And since then, my LA rise just went crazy, from doing records with Kanye West, with Jay-Z, with Kendrick Lamar, with Exhibit, with almost everybody in the industry, all the way to touring with Jill Scott and Lady A, Justin Timberlake. It all just went up from there. Doing records with Big Sean. I mean, so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the three those are four of the big give ups, but there are hundreds of times where
Yeah.
I felt like giving up.
You mentioned about, you wanted to have protection, the guns and things of that nature around you. You were in a different environment, but did you still, I guess, were still carrying some of that trauma from North and Mentlow? You still were carrying it for all of those years?
Oh yeah, from after high school until all through Hopkins, pretty much until I got married.
Yeah.
Pretty much that whole 10 year, all the 90s, I was always strapped. I would just the childhood trauma,
Yeah.
3 and 4, if somebody touching you, first of all, was always on the back of your mind, and then the apparent violence that you see daily just made me think like somebody out here is trying to destroy my joy, and I've got to make sure I protect this boundary. And so I just couldn't leave it up to chance. Like when you're a child and you get taken advantage of, it feels like you leave your trust in the hands of adults.
Yeah.
When they are neglectful or that trust is betrayed, you then think, let me take it upon myself to protect myself.
You talked about going to New York and then coming back to Baltimore and then heading out to LA. If you didn't go out to LA, where do you think your life would be now?
If I didn't go to LA, ooh, well, I wouldn't have done the Oscars for sure.
Sure. That's for sure.
I might not have had children because there's a trauma in Baltimore where you're scared to have a kid because you're scared to be broke and poor. And, abortion was big when I was young, and you're scared to even bring a child into this hellish world. That was my Baltimore mind frame. And I think going to LA, I saw other communities, Latin communities that were as poor or sometimes poorer than me, and they had huge families.
Yes.
And they were celebratory of young people having kids. And I was like, whoa, this is a new thinking. Where can you be poor, have a lot of people, and still be happy?
Yes.
So that kind of changed my mind that, oh, children are joy. Because I think, in my opinion, in my hood, children were pain.
Yeah.
Children were a sign that you were not successful. You failed. If you have a baby and you're not already rich,
Right.
you failed.
Yeah.
And you're not married. And so that mentality that somehow is in the black community really had to be reimagined for me. And so in Baltimore, I probably wouldn't have had kids. I might not have done some of the big musical things. I would have been good at music, but I wouldn't have been carved as excellently. I've been around Warren Campbell is a great producer. I've been around Dr. Dre. Yeah. I've been around some of the best producers in the world, DJ Khalil, Just Blaze. And I think the LA experience kind of put me so close to the heat lamp of the greatest people who've ever lived that Baltimore wouldn't have afforded me that opportunity. Yeah. I may have gotten into real estate and bought some homes. I think I still would have been a great man, a great mentor. I would have still healed people.
Yeah.
Because the gift is really who I am. Yeah. Music is the conduit, but who I am as a man is the blessing to the earth. So I still would have been a blessing, but maybe not as musically successful.
To go back for a moment, you brought a smile to my face that you were talking about when you and your wife were pregnant. You said we were pregnant, and I just thought that was so fatherly, manly of you, because most people say, "Well, my wife is pregnant," but it's a we. It's a we. It
is a we for me.
And for you to say that, you said we were pregnant. And that really goes, I guess, to what you always espouse in terms of fatherhood, manhood,
yes.
And how beautiful it is and how much it means to you. And the reason why I'd asked about LA and going out there, there's a biblical saying that the prophet, paraphrasing, is not honored in his own hometown. People know you all in Baltimore. But they see you in passing and it's, oh, that's just Dontae Winslow. But sometimes you have to go to another place to kind of to build up your resume, build up your cred, whatever you would want to call it. But sometimes that's where we grow. And
that's right.
Being a fellow musician, I'll share with you, when I was playing drums here in Baltimore, went to Peabody as well. But Dontae, I didn't grow as a musician until I went away to Miami. I was surrounded. I went to University of Miami School of Music, and so I was surrounded by musicians 24/7.
Yes,
and it rubs off. But I never would have gotten that level of competency on my instrument had
that's
I
true.
stayed here.
That's
And
true.
so when you talked about going away, it just seemed like that really was the thing that took you to the next level.
I would say so. And they're great musicians who have stayed, like Dennis Chambers, Gary Thomas, and they're
Yeah.
legends. And they stayed, but again, to divine order, everybody has a different path to
Right.
take. And my path, I believe, states that being away makes me greater and makes me more effective in a global sense
Yes.
than staying in my own community. And I was respected in my community, but I was forged in LA. I was
Yeah.
forged into diamond in LA, and not New York. New York, I wasn't meant for New York. I was meant for that part of the world for that time. And I think that, they say Jesus couldn't perform miracles in Nazareth. Maybe he chose not to, but maybe it's because of the people's lack of belief. And so
Yes.
sometimes the new environment brings something special out of you, and the
Indeed.
people who surround you encourage you. Because when I went there, I was working with Kamasi Washington. I'm working with Terrace Martin, all my local homies, and they blew up and they became famous. And working with them, like, as soon as I met Kamasi, he was like, "Man, I love your playing. I want to work with you." Like, he encouraged me so much. I'm playing next to him on stage. He's like, "Woo!" He's looking at me and listening to me like he's listening to Clifford Brown or Lee Morgan or
Yeah.
something. And so just that energy of support,
Yes.
like you the one. When somebody gives you that, all you need is somebody to believe in
There
you.
you go. Yeah.
If somebody believe in you, whoever you are out there, you are going to skyrocket to the moon. I believe that. But if people say, "Oh man, you ain't shit," like your neighborhood homie,
Yeah.
you ain't gonna make it. Because the energy of, again, words, if people are
Yes.
pulling you down, the negative part about Baltimore is they always make it analogous to crabs in a barrel. There are energies that try to pull people down. And if you're surrounded by them, you're not going to make it. So it is hard to make it in Baltimore because there is an energy of people pulling down. And beside that, there's an energy of toughness and strength. And if you are able to be around the strong people and
Yes.
not the dissenting people, you're going to actually be forged into something much greater than other communities. Because if Baltimore specifically has the pull down energy, the people who survive it are stronger
Stronger.
than everyone else.
Yes, yes,
That's the way I look
indeed.
at it.
It's a perfect segue into the next question that I had for you in terms of greatness. Now you're in the room with some of the biggest names in the world. We talked about Branford Marsalis, Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, Justin Timberlake. You've done the Oscars and the Super Bowl and the Grammys. When you're in the room with that type of energy and that level of greatness, what do you find amongst all of those artists? What is the common thread that you see in all of those artists that got them to that point of greatness?
Discipline, belief in the gift, experience with being around greatness of equal caliber. Those are three things that I would say are a correlation that I could draw a line through.
Okay.
They think that they are great. People have told them they're great. They have great discipline. They do the craft at the highest level consistently over and over again. They don't just do it now and then. They go hard, they go for many hours, or they're constantly in the mode of greatness or creativity. And they believe. They actually believe their own hype. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I
Right.
mean, they believe that the gift God placed in them is truly special.
Yeah.
No one has to tell them that. Now, I'm not saying many of them are, some of them can have moments of self doubt, and that does exist as well. But for the most part, when they're activating the gift, I see like an electricity that is kind of consistent. I'm like, okay, you have the electric, you have the electric, you have the electric, and they all have that kind of theme attached to them.
Yeah.
And so, even though artists are sensitive, that power and I feel it in me as well. The only difference is I don't know them like so deeply that I can sit down and ask them, are they happy inside? Something we know that money can't really buy success, awards, even at the highest level of performing your craft. That doesn't really satiate the soul and give you peace and joy. We all have a certain level of greatness, but I know I have a level of peace and joy that surpasses human understanding.
Yes.
I'm not sure that I see that in them. I'm not saying
Yes.
it's not there. I'm not
Right.
saying it is.
Yes.
But that one added thing that I believe I possess because of my wife and my relationship with God is a bonus beyond the gift. So I'm not saying that to boost and boast about myself, but I'm saying it as a lesson to young people. When you're growing, and everybody has a gift, everybody has special gifts, not finding it is the reason why we can't say, hey, everybody at the same level.
Right.
Yeah, you see what LeBron does, Steph Curry does, but they could be washing cars and they would still have had the gift you didn't see.
Right.
Which means a guy washing cars has a LeBron somewhere about something. It just might be writing stories.
Yes.
It might be playing piano. It might be cutting grass. But I just believe everybody has this innate thing that comes easy to them. And
Yes.
what makes greatness is ease. The ease with which you do a thing repeatedly and the desire. When you match desire and ease, you kind of formulate your way somewhere around greatness, especially if it's attached to other greatness, because it's osmosis. So as kids ascend and use their gift, find their gift, so to speak, and say, hey, I do this better than everybody. Wow, this is really easy for me.
Yes.
And then you become good and great. And everybody says, hey, they point to you and say, hey, you're the guy that, if you're Jay-Z, you rap, you need to write things down and you're very witty and you have good analogies. And then when you attach joy, self-appreciation, self-love, wholeness, relationship with spirit, whether it's God, Christianity, Muslim, Hindu, whatever the religion you choose, when you find the joy that comes from higher spirit and you find the joy that comes from self-love and then the extra joy that comes from a mate who loves you unconditionally and you match that with your gift,
Yes.
to me, that's the number one goal. And that's the thing that that you could be a celebrity, be famous, be great by the world standards, but be empty in that spot and you'll come crashing down.
Indeed.
So that's what I want to add to young people ascending and looking at, like, I want to be like such and such, but just make sure such and such got joy.
Have you ever found yourself caught up in the moment, overwhelmed with all of this greatness, and therefore I'm thinking more of myself?
No, I have this dual vision of myself. I don't think too much of myself, but I know I'm great.
Yes.
So
Okay.
there's a balance of humility that I stay connected to God, my past, and my trauma and my pain. I stay in the place of the child. So the childlike nature, I don't even know if I can give myself credit for that because it doesn't go away.
Yes.
I don't know if it's because of abuse. I don't know it's because of neglect or having a single mom or having no parent. I don't know what created it, but I know it's there and it's present. And so that there's an innocence about me. There's a childlike purity that is my gift before music, I believe. And so that purity is a humble place. It's a place that no matter how good or great, they say my name, Dontae Winslow on lights, I'm still the child. I'm still a child. Like Jesus said, be like a child, think like a child.
Yeah.
I stay in that place of childhood, and that keeps me close to God, but it also keeps me in the soft place.
Yes.
For me, manhood is more performative. Like I have to put on my man coat. I have to put on my warrior jacket and I have to put on my boundary and autonomy of protecting myself from the world. That's something that I think me or Michael Jackson or certain sensitive souls, we have to put up a guard to, or when we're in confidence, like Michael is a dragon on stage, but at home he's a lamb. So I don't think Michael ever has to bring himself down.
Okay.
He's aware of the greatness, but the greatness is connected to the humility. And so I think he just needs to be protected.
Yes.
For me, I just need I need to be in a protected space, but I don't have to be next to greatness and feel like, whoa, I'm feeling myself. Let me put myself down. Cause I'm just aware. I remain very much aware of other people's gifts, their space and my relation to that space. If I'm backing them up, I'm supporting them. It's not an ego boost thing. It's like being in a relationship with my wife. She's feminine, I'm masculine. And so when she's shining and singing next to me, I'm supporting her. Like, I'm bigger, she's better. It's just like out. It's a now thing. And now in this moment, who should be shining? Who should be speaking? Who should be? So it's that ebb and flow of greatness. Show off your light because your light is meant to be seen. Student, humble. Let's learn. Let's show love. Let's protect. Let's be vulnerable. That whole balancing of it's like watching the water, So no, I haven't yet had to check myself, but I remain constantly checking myself.
Okay, so it
Is that a
doesn't
moment?
get.
No, it's not a person or a moment that would do it. It's just every second I'm checking myself. I'm checking myself in this interview. I'm
Yeah.
careful of my words. I'm careful of my energy. I'm checking myself when I'm with my children. I'm being disciplined and firm, but not too harsh. I don't want to break spirits. So it's that balance, a ballet dance.
You talk about inner life and trauma and strength, and I was listening to your track, "Trumpet and a Mic,"
My
and
favorite.
and you talk about basically with everything and all of the trauma that was going on in your life, it really resulted in you had a trumpet and a mic, and those were the two vehicles that moved your life forward.
It's
Talk a little
true.
bit about that, because when I listened to the lyrics and the way you sang them, it told the entire story.
It's so true. That's very deep that you bring that up because that phrase, trumpet and a mic, if you watch the video on YouTube, the song, I made a short film, Trumpet and a Mic, where I score the intro to the song and then the song begins and then I'm rapping, I'm playing the trumpet, I'm scoring the strings and I'm conducting, showing all the gifts that God gave me.
Yes.
And in the beginning of the movie, I say a scripture in the Bible where God asked Moses, "What is that in your hand?" The Lord says, "What is that in your hand?" And we know in the Bible, Moses, like, this is a staff.
Right, right.
But really, it's a staff that's going to crack the sea open and free my people. Ooh, how. And that thing is just deep because the trumpet was my staff, like Moses. And I breathed air through it and it cracked the sea open. God used the trumpet to take me around the world, buy homes, feed my family, heal children, heal myself, own therapy, heal all those in my presence, raise life from the dead. This is prophetic. We knew that God was going to do that because prophets have told me you're going to use an instrument where you blow air and nations will be healed and God and people will be healed. And so that story kind of sums up my life, but also my gift from God. And it's in a church. You see
Yes,
the stained windows.
yes.
Then my son, Messiah, who looks like me, walks up to me and I'm talking to him. So I'm preaching to my son in real life, but I'm also preaching to myself in the spirit realm. In divine order, looking at the beginning, saying, it's going to be okay. You're going to make it. You're going to live. You're going to survive. You're a kid. You're going to go through some hell. You're going to see some things. And hopefully, if you hold on and don't give up, don't hurt other people, don't hurt yourself, you'll get to be a holistic man who loves a woman, who has children, who heals his community, who blesses the earth. Yeah. That's the goal for everyone on earth. So what makes the trumpet and a mic deep is that it's its own Bible.
Yes.
For modern times, for the black community, for a man growing up in the hood, for a man redeeming himself into manhood, for a boy becoming a man, for a boy becoming the greatest part of himself and being able to shed the trauma in a healthy way so that he is connected to his past.
Yes.
But then at the same time, he's able to shed light on the next generation.
As you were singing the song, I just imagine when you talked about the house being raided and people being taken out and being locked up, with you just sitting at a table with a trumpet. And what do you do with it? I know this is not overnight by any stretch of the imagination. I know you've come a long way in terms of dealing with the trauma and how you have turned your life around and how you help many other folks. But I do know, and you have shared with me at the event, that was not an overnight process. So while you have Dontae shares his wonderful story, you talk about the work that went into getting to this point.
Oh my God, yes.
It's always ongoing. It doesn't stop. One of the questions that I always ask, and it's a series of 3 actually, Dontae, that I ask my guests, and you've kind of outlined some of this in this conversation, but if you could sum up who you are, why you're here, and what are you supposed to do with your life, what would be the answer to those three questions?
One, I am a light. I am a spirit. I am from another dimension and another time. I am here to bless the earth. I am here to protect children. I am here to breathe life into those who don't believe. And the closest spirits that I see in terms of goals and what they gave are like Michael Jackson and Jesus Christ. Those are the energies that I identify with. They endure suffering. They love children. They give light, and the light continues forever. And they heal all those who come in their presence. Yeah, they're megastars. I mean, they're famous. I mean, one is sovereign and one is completely human. But at the same time, what they make people feel is how I would love my spirit to make people feel. You know.
Yeah.
And what was the third one?
Well, no, what am I supposed to do with my life? And
yeah,
so
what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, I kind of
so,
summed it up. Yeah,
but,
I think I'm here to help the world be a better place through how I treat my wife, how I live alongside a woman, how I balance masculine and feminine in the graceful dance, how I honor her, how our synchronicity and synergy represent a timeless love, how I raise children and what my progeny give back to the earth. And in my music, my art and my craft, how that allows itself to be a vessel for God to breathe through and speak to the earth.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of me being here.
You keep a very busy schedule. And
Yes.
with all that you have going on, what do you do to navigate that landscape? Are there any non-negotiables like a morning routine or, and then when you
Yes.
don't do those things, Dontae, how does it affect your day or your productivity?
My morning routine, I love to wake up and have a few moments of silence. I love to rub feet with my wife and cuddle her and say kind words and meditate with her. I love for us to share a sense of kind of connection with each other. So we do this, we could be watching the show, we could be loving on one another, but connecting with her at the top of the day is important for me. Going out into my yard, looking at a lake and just meditating with God is how I connect. I'm always speaking positive words to myself, from myself. Like you saw at the ABC meeting,
Yes.
I am great, I am powerful, I am healed. I say those words every day. There's not a day that doesn't go by where Dontae Winslow doesn't speak greatness to Dontae Winslow.
Yes.
Sure. That's the child healing himself. And now I learned that I have permission to give myself words to say. Now, if I was a child, I could have done this too at 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and healed. But I would have thought, oh, it's bad to say I'm great. That's what young Dontae would have said. Yeah. Because I'm scared. Because when you're a child of abuse, you are so busy protecting your abuser and the oppressor that you're scared to say anything good about yourself. You would rather say someone else is great and you're nothing because that feels comfortable. That's the comfortable place for abused people and or very passive, sadistically passive people. That's how my father was. I inherited that genetically. And so I had to turn that table over, which was a big boulder. Gong, gong. Be like, no, I am great. I am greatness. I am special. I knew I was special, but I would be scared to say it, which are two different things.
Yeah.
So saying to myself that I'm special every day reinforces my wiring, my neurological circuits. My cells are listening. I believe everything on your body is listening to you speak. And so since the cells, billions of them, are listening and cooperating and trying to do their best to make life easy, I'm like, okay, this is how we make it easy. First, sometimes I take my shoes and socks off. I put my feet on the earth so I can ground with earth, with Mother Nature. I'm talking to God. I'm trying to get reuniting with my lover. So all of those are like the axis of balance. So I'm trying to connect with my children, eye contact, I love you, hugs, touch, affection. We know that affection is healing. And so once I get in that groove, I go get my instrument.
Yeah.
I play a nice, quiet warm up. soft, to get lips vibrating, to get my brain activated, to get everything coordinated. I play some music and then I repeat that throughout the day. I go to my prayer. I got a special room that's just prayer with pictures and mantle of all of my ancestors. And I go to my prayer closet. I go practice. I go check in on the wife and kiss my kid. And I keep repeating love in the house. My house is full of love. When you come to my house, people say, man, it feels like love in here. So if I keep lifting weights and lifting weights with love, I'm just going to get stronger and bigger. And my music's going to be so powerful. Everything I say and do is going to emit love. Yes. And the goal is, while I'm strengthening my vessel, all I got to do now is be open and relinquish and then let God breathe through the already strengthened vessel.
Yes. I love it.
And then, so to your second part of the question, if I don't get to do the routine, I'm still neutral and at ease.
Okay.
I'm in this poised, relaxed place where nothing can really disturb me. I'm invincible. I'm like I started by saying I'm a spirit. I'm already a light. I'm already a spirit. I'm already one with God. So nothing can really get me off of that. Like when I was 2 and 3, I was mostly flesh and didn't know I was connected to God. Once my eyes were open, like, oh, this flesh is temporary. And like anything that happens to it is outside of who I am as a person. Dontae as a person is not the body you see. I'm way elevated above this body. And so knowing that lets me know that, oh, I didn't get to meditate today. I get in. Okay, it's okay. Now study water. Water moves around rocks. Now let's get to a place of peace without meditation. Whether it's singing a melody, maybe it's thinking a positive thought. So it doesn't have to go the same way every time. Just like playing a song. I don't try to play a song the same way every time. I try to be in the now of things. What is happening now? Now is this. Now it's that. My intention is to do things consistently. But when it doesn't happen in the consistent format or like I plan, I know that God has set up new parameters and said, ready to go in another direction? Right. I'm like, yes, sir, obedience. So obedience is key in terms of staying in the nowness of things and the spirit and allowing God to use his power. Because I'm still not God. So he still knows more. He knows more about the path and the divine way of things and which orders of the steps, which way they should go. So I remain malleable is what I'm trying to say. Malleable from a moment to moment, but also directional from the purpose of, I intend to do this, but if it goes another way, let's roll with that.
Right. Okay.
Just like jazz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to start like this, but hey, we doing that now? Okay.
Yeah, we don't know where we're going to end up, but it'll sound good along the way.
And it's going to be a great place.
There you go. Well, now since you brought up music, and I know your time is limited, so I'm going to get ready to wrap up here. But you talked about music. What are your thoughts on AI and how it's affecting that creative space? Do you see it affecting creativity? Or is it something that you think if we don't get a hold of that human element, it may do some damage to the music industry?
It's already done loads of damage. It helps as well because what AI does is facilitate speed. It allows a human to do things, complicated calculations quickly, and it allows big ideas to be realized, whether it's art, graphics, music, math, all of the computations. It'll be betting on stocks. I mean, I have a record coming out called Pink Robots, ironically, and I'm singing about me and relationships, but in relationship with a robot that's a female energy and robot and technology and how we interact and interface with technology as we're doing. And so I want to paint those complex pictures and images similarly like we have with a woman, but also with technology, it's going to be more complex. I do believe eventually men are going to date robots. They're going to, because they want at least men who I think are not strong, because they will be too weak to approach the female power and the divine feminine, that they will acquiesce to something they can dominate, which is a programmable bot. But they'll put a physical package that they like, and this is all stuff that I know it's going to happen. It's happening. And I'm just saying that when we get to that place, wow, okay, men will say, oh man, a woman can do everything I say. It's no argument. It's no problem. She has body parts that are feminine that I like. She has flesh. I can kiss her. I can hold her. I'm not lonely. I don't have to be bold enough to speak to a woman who could change her mind. I can, but then you're going to lose the ability to battle and do life with a woman with real feminine energy, which God created, man-made. And so that's a negative because you're going to become weaker for not being able to do the yin and yang thing.
Yes.
So the strength is I created something that really works well, helps me around the house. It can do math and compute. It can even breastfeed a child, but I can't talk to a woman. I don't know how to approach a woman. I don't know how to date. I don't know how to love. I don't know how to soothe her wounds. I don't know how to allow her to heal me. I don't know how to balance arguing. Those are tactics gifts that men have built up over centuries, and that'll be lost.
Yeah.
If and when we go that route, and we're going that route. So how do we keep the balance? Just like in music, AI can make a song, it can sing a song, it can make a song faster than you. I won't say better because it's only stealing from human things.
Yes, right.
It can't be soulful. It doesn't have a life experience. So it can't do a lot of things we can do. It can't react differently in different situations each moment. It cannot cry. It cannot do a live show. But we allow it to have charted. So I think it shouldn't be on the charts. I don't think artists should be like getting awards and be on charts and things because it's its own category.
It is.
It can be the AI awards where we see what robots can fight. I don't think you should put robots. I don't think you should put robots against humans. You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of people disqualify people for making AI songs. They say, hey, if you're using AI, that's cheating. Because it is cheating. It's not handmade.
Yeah.
It's machine made. And I'm not saying that's worthless. There's just a place. We have to just compartmentalize and say, this is what this is. This is what this is. You can have AI women, but these are real women.
Yes.
So you have AI songs. These are real songs in terms of songs made from human suffering, from human flesh. AI is only borrowing from what humans have experienced. Right. And that's a slick, neat toy and neat thing. And it can help you think of things. Oh, I wouldn't think of doing a bridge of this song with the A section of that song and then flip it in 30 keys and then extract it and then make it into a movie. I mean, that's kind of magnificent for a machine to do. But that's still not like a person sitting out in the woods and singing blues. That's not that same thing. Food created by a machine is not like a man planting something in the ground or a woman cutting up vegetables and seasoning it with fresh organic and then putting it in your mouth and those are two different tastes.
Yes, exactly.
So as long as, in my opinion, we keep them separate in terms of if we're going to assess and judge them, but we can mix them together in terms of advancing the human experience forward. But one should not replace the other, in my opinion.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned a man maybe marrying a robot. I'll take our listeners back to a movie that came out in I want to say the early 70s, Dontae, called The Stepford Wives, where these women were suddenly changed into robots and they were everything their man wanted them to be, fix the dinner, make sure the house was clean, no communication basically. Unless you were spoken to. So, hey, I guess they say art imitates life or life imitates art.
They go back in a circle,
Right. So,
you go in a circle.
Well, to wrap up, let me ask you this, Dontae. Because you've talked so much about your younger years.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Pause for a second. And just for the people listening, the same thing, there'll be robot men as well, just so we don't make it lopsided.
Right, let's make it equal.
So, there'll be men who will clean up, do the things, and please the man, and he'll last a long time. He'll come home and fix the gas and do all the stuff, and the women be like, if I can handle this, I don't need no man. But still, we have to find balance because there's something that a human man also offers in terms of his vulnerability and fragility that is also a blessing to a woman.
Indeed, that was a very good catch. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You mentioned your early years, but I'm going to ask you to close out and tell me that if that younger version of you could see who you've become today, what do you think that younger Dontae would say to you?
She'd be like, man, you killed it. You are amazing. You are a miracle. Yo, for real? You got homes. You can get any car you want. You can play the trumpet like that. You can play this. You make music. You make beats. You can rap. You conduct symphonies. You arrange strings for people. You tour the world. You go from London to South Africa, to Spain, to Brazil. Man, you married? You love a woman. The woman loves you unconditionally. She's not leaving you no time soon. She knows your flaws and she still loves you. He would be like, you have children? Oh, I'm shocked. I knew you would be a good parent. That one's easy. But your children really love you and respect you. Like your son says, oh, my father, the truth.
Yeah.
Wow. The best rappers in the world like your music. They like what you give them. Dr. Dre called you. I think that's what young Dontae would say.
Well, Dontae, I have to thank you so much for taking some time out to talk with me. How can folks get in touch with you in terms of finding out what you've got available in terms of new music that's coming out? Dontae has done a ton of music scores, so please check out his website and he'll give that information to you. But let folks know about how they can listen to your music, purchase your music, and follow what you're doing.
Yes, follow me at DontaeWinslow.com, www.DontaeWinslow.com. You can go and see some of the great things I've done, some photos of me with some of the greats and the legends. You can listen to some of my projects. You can purchase some of my projects. You can purchase this amazing t-shirt, Walking Art. It's amazing. I sold it on tour. People all around the world have it. It's a blessing. It's a gift. The art is by Baltimore legend Ernest Shaw, as we know, and he does the murals around town. And the blessing is, it's an image of me, but it represents my light. It represents the positivity. I believe everyone who wears this shirt feels the blessing that I put into the shirt, into the material, into the thought and the intention towards being happy, being a light, healing others. When I put this red bell on my trumpet, I intended it to state, like the old ancestors in the slave days, that the red door means this is where the slaves could hide. This is the safe place. And that's what the red represents. And so it's so much meaning in everything that I do. So that's my website, DontaeWinslow.com. Instagram, you can find me at Dontae Winslow, DontaeWinslow. I'm active there because that's where I show a lot of different instruments I like to play, music I make. And then you can look at me on Facebook, is just Facebook.com, Dontae Winslow, Facebook, hashtag or / Dontae Winslow. And those are all the places that I'm on social platforms.
Good enough. Dontae, thank you so much for taking time out. I look forward to catching up with you when you get back to the East Coast. And until we see each other in person, be well, my friend.
Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate you. Divine order.
Thank you.